Growing up in a small town, I learned that connections go beyond blood. They're built through shared experiences, friendships, and the moments we celebrate together.
And how we ended up in Lehi was I had 5 children, and I wanted them to be a part of a good agricultural education program.
Yeah.
So I just started driving south until I ran into one, and it was in Lehi. If you want to be a part of a strong economy where there are lots of jobs and the pay is relatively good, then you're going to live in a place like Lehi.
Yeah.
It makes life a little expensive sometimes and a little hectic and stressful, but it's a strong economy. My career spanned 43 years. I started teaching in 1980 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a high school that had an enrollment of about 3,800 students, which was incredible. Almost as large as the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of a culture shock, but it was a great experience, training kids to see things a different way so that they could teach their fathers. It sounds subversive, but it didn't mean to be. It was just a case of, if you do things this way, maybe that sow will farrow 12 pigs instead of 6. What I really need is a kid that loves agriculture that can code and program, because today's tractors are very technical, and I was driving a tractor before I could legally drive a truck. Instead of using a cultivator to clean the weeds out of a vegetable bed, they drive a machine over the bed that uses cameras to recognize plants that do not belong in that bed and laser beams to burn the plants out when they're very small. Now, if you go up to this dairy we were talking about earlier, Kohler's Dairy, their cows milk on demand. And it's all, the cow comes in, reads a tag, knows who the cow is, what she's supposed to be producing, how much to feed her, walks up to the machine, it hooks up to her. I've never, ever met anyone who did not remember the name of their ag teacher. And I would go to my ag class, and my ag teacher would take me to the shop, and he'd say, I want you to turn that pile of metal into a 4x8 panel. And I want those corners to be square. And if they're not square, you're going to take it apart and do it again. So how come my geometry teacher, he didn't have a shop, but I also don't think he had the skill. How come he couldn't tell me that, but my ag teacher taught me a skill, the Pythagorean theorem, that I've used for the rest of my life. And that's important because every once in a while the tailwater would get away from us and would go over into the football field, which made the football coach mad. You got to trust the math. And so we moved the water, and then we went back to the end and watched that water come all the way to the end, and then just like a sheet of glass across that border. Thank you for giving my kid a reason to go to school and graduate.
Hey, doing embryo, that's science. That's like a scientist in a lab and doing, that's very different.
But the most important thing is not that kids learn how to do that, but that they recognize that it is a technology, it is science, they can understand it, they can do it with their hands, and it makes them less afraid to talk about some other things. I was introduced to the spreadsheet, and it was love at first sight. They want to know why, and they want to know how to use it, and then they want to put it to work, and they want to make things with it and do things with it. If you were part of that program and participated in the CTSO, which is the FFA part, if you did that, then you were more likely to graduate from high school than your peers who were not a part of that program. You were more likely to go on to education than your peers. You were more likely to complete that education. You were more likely to work during high school. You were more likely to work during your post-secondary experience. You were hired earlier, your earnings were higher. The number one problem that employers have as they hire newly college graduated students is that they have zero work experience. And the point is that when he was a freshman in high school, he probably mowed all those lawns. When he was a senior in high school, he didn't mow lawns anymore. He was managing people. The point is that 75% of the kids need a different experience. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't need rigor. That doesn't mean that they don't need to be pushed beyond what they think they can do. But I honestly believe that if we turn the system around to focus on those 75% of the kids, most of our problems would go away. Mom and dad don't have any idea what they're talking about. So I think relationship is critical. But I also think the relevance and the rigor, showing kids that they can do hard things. It all started with a drift trike. Kids build drift trikes and race them. That gets a lot of attention because it's motors and gasoline and welding. It's fun.
And especially for those that have gone to college and have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and have a liberal arts degree that does them nothing. And so it's, okay, wait a second, what are we paying for here?
And I think guys like Mike Rowe have gone a long ways to
Sure.
make people aware that there is another side of the world out there.
We got to prepare every kid for the future and to get married, have families, and they need to have a job to provide for those things, provide for those people. There's not one way.
Right.
There's not one way. There's multiple ways. We got to keep learning, otherwise we're out of the game.
I know that I could break down in any town in the United States, and if I could just find the ag teacher, things would be okay. And
love that.
And I hope that adults realize that they need to be advocates for being an adult.
Yeah.
And making a contribution. Good grief, I could pass chemistry. I could pass 8 hours of chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea that was possible until I did it. Doug Webb called me one day and he said, Daimler, I figured out that your son is never, or your daughter's never ever going to be a livestock judger. We need to figure out something else to do. And so,
remember, every person here has a unique story, and together, we're what makes Lehi feel like home.